Hello, everybody. My name is Alex Mobley from the Body of Believers Unified YouTube channel. You can find me on Facebook page under the same title, The Body of Believers Unified. This morning, I want to talk about the goodness of God. I want to talk about one of the storms that I went through and currently am going through. Is when I had a stroke in 2020 in August. And actually, I had a stroke on my brainstem. So what happened? I just woke up in the morning, went to go to the bathroom early, like around 3 or 4 o'clock, and I just fell straight to the floor. I didn't know what was going on. What happened? I just like had no power, or I couldn't feel the entire left side of my body, and so I kind of laid there. My wife was trying to see what's going on, trying to see if I was getting the feeling back or whatever. But my wife wanted to call an ambulance right then and there. But the spirit spoke to me and was like, told me stay still, peace, be still, and stay where I was at, and like because they would have took me to like the nearest local hospital or whatever. But the spirit told me to go to the VA hospital, and I wasn't strong enough to get from my bedroom out to catch an Uber to the VA because any other ambulance would have just took me to the nearest hospital. So I waited. I think it was a day, two maybe, and I was strong enough with my wife, my beautiful, loving wife, help. I was able to scoot on one of these office chairs I got that got wheels on it. I was able to scoot down the steps, scoot to my front steps, and with the chair, and like just sit in the chair and hop in the Uber. They would get in the Uber and go to the hospital. I went to the VA Oakland. So when I went to the VA, what they did ran a battery test on me. I told them what happened. I couldn't feel nothing on the left side of my body, and come to find out when the doctors came in and gave me the diagnosis or whatever, that I had like a big stroke on my brainstem. And for anybody who doesn't know what the brainstem is, the brainstem is the part of your brain that controls all your body functions. And this is where I had my stroke at, and it was a pretty good sized stroke. So, the doctors came in, they gave me a prognosis, the diagnosis, and all that kind of stuff. And the doctor was real honest. She didn't want to give me false hope, basically. She said that, me, by me having that stroke on my brainstem and the size of it, I can get some of my mobility back, but it's highly unlikely. She was just being very truthful. She wasn't trying to give me bad news or nothing. She was just like, what she was trying not to do is give me false hope, and I was okay with that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I already knew at that moment that God's a way maker. He was gonna heal me. My body was gonna heal because this ain't the first time I heard something like you're not gonna walk again. Or I heard when I was 20, you got 5 to 7 years to live. When I was in the hospital for a year at Walter Reed due to my lupus. So this ain't the first time I heard these kind of diagnoses and been told these kind of things from medical professionals. So just laying in that bed, I had faith, in what God showed me that I was gonna be okay. I was gonna be all right. I was gonna get back, but it was gonna be a storm, but a trial, but also, it was gonna be a lot of lessons learned going through this, going through this process. Because like when I was 20 and I was at Walter Reed and I was only, I was in the hospital for a year. Lupus had like ravaged my body for about 3 years before then, before they even diagnosed me. I looked at adversity a whole different way. I looked at trials and tribulations a whole different way than I do today, than I do right now, this day of my life at 46 years old. Back then I was mad. I was really depressed, angry at God. Because I was 20, I didn't know what did I do to deserve this. And of course, from all the traumas I experienced in my life, I just thought it was, unfair. But life is not fair. Life is good, life is bad, but life is just simply life. So when I'm in the hospital, I think we ran a battery test, checked my heart, all my functions, and all this kind of stuff, to make sure I'm okay. And then they put me in intensive therapy like right after the third day. So the prognosis was that I probably wasn't gonna, I couldn't speak or anything like that. I couldn't even swallow. At the time, I couldn't even use the bathroom because the left side of my body, my intestines, I couldn't push nothing out. Or even go to the bathroom. I needed like a bunch of laxatives to even go to the bathroom. I couldn't move. I mean, when I say I couldn't move nothing on my left side, I could not move nothing. Not even a pinky, a wiggle, nothing on the whole entire left side. So when I was laying there, what do they call them? The people from intensive therapy program came through, and they came to the room, and they was like, "Let's go, we're gonna do some BT." And I'm like, I'm looking at them like, well, what are they talking about? I can't even move, but it was like, you know, move your pinky, move your pinky, move your pinky, or close. Try to visualize you closing your pinky. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't even do that, but it was like, okay, don't worry about it. If you can't move it, just think about moving it. So this process continued for about a month. That was when I was actually in the hospital ward. So after I got out of there, they took me to my own room, basically where I was gonna permanently be staying. I think it was 1A, 1B. On no, it was during COVID, so I had to stay on the COVID ward for a while to make sure I wasn't contagious or had COVID, and then they sent me to this other place. But while I was on the COVID ward, the PT, OT people came in there, doctors were coming to see me every day, having me doing something. And they started out with shocking me. They had a big giant machine that sent electric current through my body, and that machine was like it was like a frog. I don't know if any of y'all ever did that experiment in high school where you had to dissect a frog and you were sticking pins in it or little needles and it kind of shocked. That was basically what this machine is right here. And they was using a very much bigger version of this on me in the hospital, and they basically was shocking everything on my left side, and actually it was moving my muscles, so it was like actually responding to that treatment. So as it kept going on, the first thing that moved was my hand, was my like pinky in my hand, and like today I could actually like close my hand, open my hand. Right now it's a little tight for me doing some little bit of workout, but I could open it, close it, make a fist. I could move it way more than I could back then. But it was really interesting, the process of this stroke, because like when I look at adversity now and I think about adversity, it's kind of like you being a ball of clay, and adversity molds us. Like God uses adversity, trials, and tribulations to basically mold you to what He needs you to be, or to strengthen you. In '09 I prayed that God show me how to use all my gifts and talents, and if He did, and also to control my mind, and I vowed that if He did, I'll dedicate my life to Him. At the time, I really didn't know what I was asking for. I mean, I thought I did, but I really didn't have the understanding and wisdom totally of what I was asking for. Because after that, to be prepared for something, to do a task or whatever calling you have in life or whatever, there's some things you got to go through to become ready to take that task on and to do that task. So that process started in '09, '10 for me when I said that prayer, and God answered it. God answered it definitely. So while I'm sitting here with this stroke, when they got me in my regular hospital bed, people was like, how can you be so happy or be so like in such good spirits, basically? And I just told them, I was like, I already know that God is gonna help me. I already know I'm gonna be back 100% to doing what I was doing before this stroke. And also, when you have trials and tribulations, there's things that you got to be accountable for during these trials and tribulations. Like when I had the stroke, I think I was like 295 pounds when I actually had the stroke, and that's way too heavy. But not just that, certain things had to happen. Before I had this stroke, I had I had a lot of doubt in my mind about my physical, my physical being, or even trying to work out and things like that. And, because since I was 20, doctors gave me basically a death sentence. They told me I had 5 to 7 years to live because of the lupus. And the lupus basically damaged almost pretty much every single organ in my body. So like, I couldn't work out. They had me on steroids all the time. I wasn't even able to work out then. And they was giving me steroids, not even through the pills, prednisone and things. They was giving me steroids actually right to the IV, right to my bloodstream and stuff like that. That's how sick I was. So like years of complications from lupus kind of like put a lot of doubt in my mind about addressing the physical part of my body. Now, my spiritual part, I was all on that. My mental part, I started building since '09. I started just reading, and reading. And my emotional part of me, grew since then. But the physical part, I still had a lot of hesitation on giving it the intensity that I gave all the other parts of me, emotionally, and spiritually. And writing this book, writing my book, The Theory of Balance: How to Improve the quality of your life spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. I was missing a part, and this stroke, me having this stroke, was a wake up call for me to address this part. When I was in high school, I was like a super athlete. I had scholarships for football. I was undefeated in wrestling. I had the record for shot put and discus throwing in New York City. And the only reason I didn't go to college, my cousin got killed my last year of high school. And, I kind of dropped out. I lost interest in life, period. And that's why I got into the military. But and the lupus came after. But back to having a stroke. I've been had complications. Many. They gave me 5 to 7 years to live when I was 20. I'm 46 today. So getting back to that, that's why I just doubt was created all through my life since I was 20 about addressing the physical. And when I had the stroke, it was basically like fight or flight. Like in my life, when I'm comfortable, I make I'm basically stagnant. I make no advances. Struggle motivates me, but not just a negative struggle, but any struggle. I usually challenge myself, and those challenges I present for myself causes me to improve. I don't have to be in a drastic situation like having a stroke and things like that. But I like to challenge myself, to keep pushing myself to become better version of myself every single day. So when I had that stroke, that kind of woke up the fight or flight response in me. And also that woke up, being that it came in there and the physical therapist, the one main one who was an inpatient intense therapy, her name was Lauren. And she came in there and she was like a gun ho, motivated, super motivated person. Was like, come on, we gonna do this. Let's get up. She actually would pick me up and on my left side and like put my arm around her and stand me up. And I couldn't believe she was actually doing that. But anyway, because she was strong as all get out. But they got me up out that bed. The nurses, they had to wash me. I couldn't do nothing. I was like a baby as far as me doing anything for myself, because usually you have your whole body, but having a stroke, in this case for me, because every stroke is different for everybody. But in this case for me, I had no use of half of my body, and I needed that half of my body to do basically anything. Everything I had to do was like 10 times as harder without having my left side of my body. Saying? Learning how to get dressed, learning how to wash up, even just washing my arm was like nearly impossible almost. Getting it up without having the use of it. So they started me on that path, and intense therapy was 3 hours a day. And what they did, they broke it up to a morning session and an evening session. And they did not miss one day. Like, and literally, I was doing 3 hours of PT, even if it was like mind Jedi tricks, look at your finger, try to move your finger, or something physical. They was just, they took it serious. And it was 6 days a week, Monday to Saturday, 3 hours. So I was doing physical OT, and I was doing yoga therapy. And as I was staying there, week by week, I started to get stronger. And thank God this is during COVID. So thank God my lovely wife and my son would come up to see me, drop me my Bible, socks, clothes, CDs, my cell phone, whatever I needed. Basically, they was bringing it to me, And they couldn't stay to even see me. They just had to come in, drop it off, and basically leave. They would say hi, give me a message or whatever. But that was the extent of like having like visitation at the VA. That was it because of the COVID. So basically, my family had to be became my family, my visitors basically became the people who was giving me treatment, the nurses. And the wild thing about having a stroke, the crazy, that's how I knew it was like it wasn't so much, my attitude of looking at it wasn't so much a negative thing because I was learning a lot of lessons through this. Number one, I was able to have time to work on sermons. So I was doing that the whole time, studying scripture the whole time. So it gave me more time to do that. And number two, it was crazy how everybody out of the 100% of the therapists I had, or help I had, or housekeepers that came in my room, almost every single person was either a believer or a person of love. Like every single person, they'll see me reading the Bible. I had so many discussions about God, about love, about life, about those type of subjects. When I was there, I got so much encouragement, while I was there, and people was encouraged by me, the attitude that I had facing this, what I was going through at the time. So I thought that was very interesting how all these certain people from the body of believers was God was bringing them to me to inspire, to help me, giving me just the encouragement that I need, the conversations that I needed, to keep pushing forward, to keep struggling, to keep trying, to keep working. Because when you go through things in life, you go through your trials, your tribulation, you go to these storms, the most important thing is your attitude, is your perspective of how you looking at this situation. When I was 20 back then, I would no way I would have been as positive and had a bright outlook on it, on going through this kind of adversity as I do today. Because, not because of where I'm at right now, but simply God has brought me through so much. My mother was shot when I was 11. My best friend Gary committed suicide when I was 14. I grew up in the crack era in New York City. So, I can't even tell you the horrible things I've seen right in my project building, going back and forth to school. And, like I said, my cousin was murdered when I was 17. That really messed me up. And just numerous things that God has brought me through, a motorcycle accident. Because this is the first time that a doctor has told me I'm not going to walk again. And I had my accident, it cracked my helmet in half. I was in a coma. I'm saying? I came out of that, they was like, you're just not going to be able to walk again. You're lucky to be alive right now. And, I went to North Carolina. Basically, then I lost everything. Went to North Carolina, and it was with my family, and the love of my family healed me. So I've been through many storms. I got many testimonies. I got one testimony I called it 2 years of trials and tribulations, basically with some biblical Job stuff going on there. Like for 2 years, things were just happening back to back to back to back. But that's a whole nother testimony for another time, So I'll probably be giving that one soon. But this one about this stroke, it was just perseverance. I learned how to, having a stroke and losing all the capabilities of using my left side. Number one, taught me that it let me focus on a lot of things that I might have took for granted. And like it's not really so much I take them for granted. I just wasn't aware of them. Most people don't even are not even aware of how important a part of their body is, because you're born with that part. You're always using it, until you lose use of that part. I lost the use of my whole left side, so I realized, my goodness, how important having that side of my body is. And I realized by me being 295 and eating unhealthy, how important, no matter what the state is of my body, I have to address the physical aspect of myself just as much, not just working out, but eating also. And this is where my wife comes in. My wife is a chef. She's going to school for it. She's going for different degrees or whatever now. But she changed the whole way she cooked entirely to help me. And this is what happens when you have a woman who really loves you, or a wife who really loves you and cares about you. She really switched her whole way of cooking to like a holistic way of eating. You know, so every ingredient she used or everything that, and this ain't happened overnight. It was a gradual thing because we're changing the whole lifestyle, the whole weight, the whole philosophy of how we eating. Because I never really looked at it as, you know, I knew it was important, but I didn't really look at it as how important it was. You know, how vital that you are what you eat. Simply put it. You know, and being like 295, you know, a lot of my family died from obesity related diseases. Basically, just being too big. You know, having obesity related complications. You know, when they're young, they all healthy, but when they retire and get hit that age, that's when they start putting on the weight and stuff, and that's, you know, the unhealthy eating habits they had all their life basically catching up to them. So I thought this was a chain that needed to be broken. My wife did too, and she really worked hard researching, studying, reading books, all kind of stuff. And you know, since I had the stroke in August, I lost 36 pounds. You know, just from a diet, just from that diet of the change. Not, I wouldn't even call it a diet. I would say just a healthy way of eating. You know, and it's amazing. I really hats off to my wife for that, and also to my wife for like holding me down 150%. You know, everything that I couldn't do, she had to take on. Plus going to school full time, plus doing all the things she was already doing. But she didn't gripe, she didn't complain. She just hopped in there and, you know, sprung to action. You know, and it was just a beautiful thing and made me, you know, really. Even though I always appreciated my wife, I knew what she was, but just love her even more, appreciate her even more for holding me down 150%. You know what I'm saying? As I did her, or as I do her. You know what I'm saying? But it's a loving thing when it's, you know, reciprocated between both people, when it's going both ways. You know, so yeah, that was a big thing. You know, big thing. Then I came home. I finally graduated from intense PT. They got me strong enough where I was able to do PT from the house, and that's what I'm gonna be posting on this channel. You know, you're gonna see some videos that's gonna show me trying to walk when I first came home. It's gonna show me walking 2 months later. It's gonna show me walking 4 months, 8 months. You know, now today I use a walker I got over here in the corner here, and I walk like almost I could walk almost 10 blocks. You know, I just use the walker for some balance while I'm walking because I don't have no cane or whatever. But also it helps. It's a nice walker. It got a seat and all that, so I can sit down. I take breaks in the middle of the walk. But me and my son are up to like 10 blocks now, walking straight when I couldn't move nothing on the left side of my body in August. So, you know, I mean, even the doctors, the healthcare givers, and all that, they are just amazed by how much I have regained back. You know, and how much power I have regained back. And and I let them know, like I said, a lot of them are believers, but some of them, you know, they all people of love. You know what I'm saying? But I let them know it ain't but God. You know, but God. You know, I couldn't do this on my own. No matter how hard I'm working, God gave me the ability. God gave me the strength. God gave me the fortitude. God gives me the encouragement, the power to do this. Period. You know what I'm saying? But it's just they always raving how hard I try, but my attitude was, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna go with this. I'm gonna put 100% into it. I'm gonna give it all I got. If I don't get back 100%, I'm okay with that as long as I gave it my best. I'm not gonna be disappointed with it because it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Believe me, I know for a fact that I am extremely lucky I was in a whole ward of people who had strokes, and a lot of them was nowhere near coming back or able to even move. Someone was just like stricken to a wheelchair right off the bat because of the kind of stroke they had, or they had bleeding and complications due to their stroke. So I am extremely grateful, extremely you know, thankful for God allowing me to come back the way I have come back and being able to walk and do all